Hey, we're Chasing Records, and you're watching On the Records. And the guest today is the Perics.
And today I am drinking the Rye Road Rail Pale Ale. It's actually one of my new favorites, are these rye beers that have come out, but this one's tasty. So if you want to check out South River Brewing Co., go to South River .ca,
Happens.
and $50 or more, free shipping, and maybe you can pick up some coasters as well at the same time. Enjoy.
Get some beer, get some gear.
That's right. All right, here we are with another podcast. Today we are joined with the Perics. We've got G, Gwen, and Matt. How's it going, guys?
Yeah,
and girls.
thanks.
Pretty good.
That's
And
good.
you?
That's awesome. So this is kind of interesting because the three of you are not in the same place, correct?
No. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
correct.
guys,
We're not
like-
in the same
No,
place.
yeah,
You
we don't
liar.
know actually
You
where we
liar.
are. So where are we all located right now? Gwen, well, I guess we can start with you.
I'm from Meersen, so I'm pretty near by G.
Okay.
So I think it's 15-minute drive.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah.
It's not bad, yeah.
So then,
Like
Matt,
Matt?
you're the one must be
Yeah.
the far away one.
I'm in the UK. I'm near a place called Crewe, which is near, well, the place I live in is called Nantwich, which is a tiny little town, but it's kind of near Manchester and Liverpool. It's in between those. So we've got really great city vibes around us for the music and stuff. So yeah, so I'm based in the UK, yeah.
How'd you guys find each other? How'd you get involved in this?
Yeah, we find each other. Well, I met Gwen before. We know each other in real life. She's my vocal coach, and
Oh, wow.
she knows my wife from a long time ago. We grew up in the same town.
Cool.
And I met Matt after I posted a message on Instagram about eels, and
Yeah.
then we got in contact, and one day we talked about each other about do you want to make a song together, and that's about it. And now we talk almost every day. We chat, or we're friends now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's amazing what with technology though, right? That you can kind of continue on making music. And I don't know if you guys have heard any of the other podcasts that we've done, but we've talked about it a bit. But Andrew and I, because of the pandemic, we've never actually been in the same room together since last March. So when we started this kind of endeavor, so it's amazing, what we have at our disposal to be able to kind of do this, right?
Totally, yeah, totally. Do you guys know each other from before then? Are you in a band before, or have you worked together before?
We weren't in a band before. I moved to London, Ontario, where we are just under 10 years ago. And when I moved here, I worked with Nate's wife, and she was like, just jump on this, play some softball with us. So I didn't know anybody here. So I met him like 9 years ago.
Ah, cool.
And we never talked about music or anything until we were in lockdown, and then it just kind of happened. And then so we actually, it's funny because we got interviewed on Thursday, and in the interview we were asked, what makes your band unique? And we thought, we haven't jammed in the room before. Like we were buddies, but we never played music. And we still haven't. We have an album recorded, but then now meeting you guys, this is like way more unique. You guys are in different. So
It's
so
not as unique as we thought.
No, our story's looking worse as it goes on. But yeah, so we knew each other, and then through we were in lockdown for a long time, so we just wrote an album, and now we're doing podcasts, and we're just trying to meet all the bands we can meet, because we can't meet anybody right now, right? We can't really.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah, we
cool.
can't-
I think lockdown's done that to a lot of people. I've been out of music for a long time until lockdown came along in the UK, and I kind of wanted to do something that I could remember lockdown by, that was a positive thing, because everything just seemed to be getting pretty crappy. The UK was like, it was pretty rubbish. We got good weather, but that was about it. So I just wanted to do something that was positive at the end of it. And so like I sort of kicked off a solo thing that was like just going out on Instagram. And that's kind of how me and G came across each other, sort of in that way. We both got the connection with Eels, the band. But then, we kind of hooked up, and like, because G's in another band as well, Animal Revolt. And so we kind of just said, do you fancy a collab? And we just, G sent a song across in like split second. And it was like, yeah, let's do this.
So is that how this, like, you guys, I saw your single, the Do You Really Care? The video was awesome, and I'll ask about the video, because that video was cool. So is that how the song starts? Is G like record first and send to you, and you add your touch? And Gwen, do you just like is it all at your own houses, like kind of like how we did our album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We asked our partners to take pictures of us in different situations. And then G's wife, she made a video. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Really?
Is your wife G? Is she into videography and editing, or is it just something like a hobby?
It's just a hobby. She's no pro at all, but she can.
Certainly can pull it off.
Yeah.
Fantastic what she made of it, and well, the idea came with Gwen and Matt. What we're gonna do. So the only thing we can do is do some sort of pictures and post them together or something like that. And then my wife came up with the idea to make it in a cartoon. And then there's no sign of other country. So it feels like Gwen and Matt are in the same room together.
It's a brilliant idea, actually. Yeah.
it really was. We've never even met. It was crazy how well it came together. It was just brilliant. It's so cool.
Oh, it's so cool. And so you gave your wife like creative control of the whole video. She just like ran with it, and you're like, awesome. That's so good to have at like just like in your arsenal, like a video like that's it's cool. Good job. Good work, guys. Good work.
It is. It's fantastic. It fits along very well. Now, in saying that, I know where the name derived from, but our listeners may not. Where does the Perics come from? The name.
It's definitely with G.
Yeah, I knew this was going there.
Well, it's so difficult to come up with a name. First of all, I look on Spotify and just checked what names are taken. And I thought we have to be unique. Otherwise, people get confused. So it's really not a word, the Perics. It's not an English word. It's really a made-up Dutch word from a book of mine. I also write books. And it means the lower class people. So in this story, you have the higher class people who are running the city and the low class people. And they called it Perics. And I just made it English, the Perics.
That's awesome. Now, and not to, I mean, like I said, this we have no journey on where this podcast goes. But is the books that you write in Dutch, or are they translated into English at all?
No, they're only in Dutch.
They're only in Dutch, yeah.
Only in Dutch, yeah.
I can't read Dutch, so I can't even.
Not with that attitude.
No, not with that attitude. No, I've got French behind me, but that's it. That's all. So no, that's really neat. It's a kind of a cool way. We were talking about that with another. Actually, the Call of the Void is one. They're having a bit of an issue. We had them on, and there's Call of the Void and the Call of the Void, and the two bands couldn't be more different than each other. So that it certainly is one of those things you've got to be unique when you're choosing a band name. Our band name derived from, like Andrew was saying, that we kind of really met playing ball through my wife when she kind of joined in. We play video games all the time, and it was always that thing where we're always chasing records. We eventually have a men's slow pitch team, and so it was one of the things we're always chasing the record. We're always trying to be number one, and then we also play video games, and it was the same thing, right? We're always trying to be number one, chase those records, and then we thought, what a kind of cool double entendre. But the only thing that we know, and it's only been confused a couple times, is that we're like a label, or, a record label or something, which is not the case. But no, it's all good.
First thought, chasing records. It's some record company who's doing podcasts, but
yeah, no, just a band doing podcasts, trying to network. And I mean, it's kind of it's a cool thing to be able to hear these stories of where band names come from, because you don't, unless people are reading into a bio or they want to know more. It's kind of neat to be able to have these conversations. But
yeah, I mean, we initially we must have sent about 20, 30 names across, and like G was going through Spotify and Google and saying, nope, exist. Right, when are we going to get one? So yeah, it was cool. And he said, well, I've got one that was kind of like something that I've invented, and so if that's there, I'll be pretty pissed off. But you did all right, didn't you, man?
Yeah, it's a sweet name. It's sweet. Now, because like with the three of you, and we're having this issue right now, and I know that in the UK especially, we're all still in somewhat of a lockdown. What is it going to look like? Are you guys planning on ever trying to do a gig of some sort?
That would be so cool if we could pull that off.
That would be,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It-
Well,
like
I
it-
love to go to the UK because I love to be in London. So I think we can visit Matt then. So maybe we should just we should make it happen.
That'd be really
Wow.
neat,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
ever
Really cool.
have you guys ever done like kind of like a live stream trying to jam, like, or you were like this, but with acoustic at least, or
Jimmy, I've got a little bit of writing on it. What's it called? Is it Jammerless?
Yeah, I got it from Gwen. Gwen came up.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we've done like a little bit of writing together, like we sort of spark some ideas, play into one another, and then we'll kind of go off separately because connections and stuff aren't always that great, and it can, you know, you can just be getting a flow going and it all just drops, or someone else comes into the room, so it can be a bit awkward. But we've kind of like we've had some ideas, sort of we've banded around, and then we've gone away and worked on them, and then brought them back, and then sort of like sent them across in stems and everything. So yeah, it's been. There's been ways we've done it, but I don't think all three of us have got together for a jam as such, have we yet, on anything? It's just been like you guys or me and G, so not all three of us yet, though.
Yeah, it would be difficult, eh? Like through this, because like you said, and if there's any latency, you know, with music, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's a pretty tough call. I know that some bands have done it where they've recorded, you know, their part visually in audio and then kind of cut it all together so it looks like they're all playing. And like you said, sending stems back and forth, is it really the same thing? It's just the audio version, and that's how we do that's how we've done our entire album, was just, you know, sending stems back and forth. It started with videos, actually short clips of, you know, an idea here, and as that video progressed, it was playing the audio over, you know, through the video, and it would just be like this layering sort, right? And eventually it would kind of muddled out, and you're like, okay. And then once we figured out, oh, we need to get some equipment to actually make this happen, it, you know, it's much better now.
That could be a music video now, looking back, like, you know,
it could be,
like you could just a bunch of us playing the same shit over, and like there'd be a lot of close-ups of our face, though. I don't know
yeah,
if
it would be.
I don't know if
It'd be some
wants that.
awkward angles, I feel.
Yeah, very awkward angles. So what's you guys going forward? What's your plan? The single dropped this month. Are you guys going to record an album, an EP, just another more singles? Anything in the works?
Yep, we've got loads.
Okay.
If you wanted to jump in, yeah. So far it's been like G's kind of taken the helm of like creative direction with like sending an initial spark across, and then we'll kind of like all throw into the mix and, you know, tweak the odd chord or just like add lyrics and things like that. So G kind of like sends them across, but we've probably got, is it about 11 at the last count? 11 tracks that we're kind of like going to be going through, aren't we?
Yeah, 11 or 12 songs we have now. Yeah.
So you have an album?
An album.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And are you going to release it as a full album, you think? Or because the problem with our problem was no one kind of knew who we were when we started doing it. And like we couldn't do shows, obviously. So our problem was, how are we going to get heard if no one knows who the hell we are? So we didn't release an album. We released 2 EPs, and every EP has a single.
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts on how you're going to release this?
For myself, I've done it in the past where it's been, I used to do albums as such and put the albums out, but I totally agree. I think it's really hard work. So I tend to do just personally 6 or 7 singles first, just solo tracks, maybe with like a B-side or the instrumental or something like that. And then I'll do an album with maybe 2 or 3 new tracks together. So it kind of drip feeds it and then into one final thing. And we were kind of talking about maybe heading that way, weren't we? Maybe getting either an EP first or 4 or 5 tracks and then the album or something. So
yeah, because the attention span is so little nowadays. If you put on an album, 1 month later, nobody is listening to your album anymore.
Yep.
So you have to come up with a new song.
material then. All your material's been used for, like, you know, it should last you essentially a year, like, you know, in the old days as such. Bands released an album, tour on it and dine out on it for a year, 2 years. But now if you put an album out, like G says, it's kind of lost within a couple of weeks to a month, and then you've got to think about writing something else again, like another one. And it's like,
to stay relevant, right? To have content keep coming out. And I think even our method, we try to break it down to EPs, and we had 5-track EPs, And I think even that was maybe too much. We were talking afterwards, like maybe we should have released, 2, 3 singles, and then had an EP with those 3 singles with 1 extra song, maybe.
Yeah.
As opposed to single and then 5 tracks, because we look at our numbers, and track 1 to 5, by the time it gets to 5, there's a noticeable drop off. Each song has a drop off, and then the single has the most plays, right? So we're trying to figure out how to do it going forward.
How to figure out these algorithms, right? That's really what it is, right? I mean, we found Spotify has been that it's your radio now. I mean, that's really what it is. It's sad to say. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you guys where you are, but for us, it's top 40 everywhere. That's what we hear on the radio, and then you've got, the odd rock song that'll fit in. And we have kind of a dedicated rock station that's terrestrial, and that does play it, but it's still a lot of the older stuff. You get into the, 70s, 80s, 90s, and they'll play some of the current stuff, but otherwise, you're not getting on there. There's no way, unless, something hits, somebody catches it, and then, you get lucky, I guess. It's like winning the lottery almost. But
yeah, definitely. For the UK, it's all just independent stuff. If you're going to get anywhere, it'll be independent kind of local stations. And, we've made contacts with a few of those, and they've been kind enough to like sort of play stuff. But that's the only way. We're never going to get onto a national radio station here. You need to have the backing, and, it's so rare, isn't it? It's hard work.
It's funny because we've had a lot of luck in the UK and in Europe in general in terms of getting our stuff out. They've been very, very supportive of us and our music, all independent radios. I'd say at least a dozen or so have picked up us, and we've had a couple in the US and 1 in Canada so far. And we had our local university radio station have us, but the problem is we don't know how much it's being played, right? There's no way to check a stat on that one, right? But that's the difficulty. And what is interesting is when I was saying to Andrew before you guys came on, is I was looking at Spotify, and I didn't even know this even existed, that I could see it as a listener. But what's really interesting is you guys have Toronto and Montreal as your top 2 listeners out of your top 5. I don't know if you realize that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, really?
And it's like in Canada, so which is really, and then New York City and LA were the other top 2, were the 2 above those. So it's kind of interesting, right? That for you guys, it's North America is getting your listeners, which isn't in the UK or in your general area, which is really interesting. And the same would go for us. We're really like it's the UK that would be probably our top when you look at them.
Those are the exotic choices that listeners make. They sort of want to be outside of their countries, and like Canada seems exotic to us, and for some reason, possibly the UK might seem exotic to Canada. I have no idea why, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think you guys have more love than we do in Canada.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, that's crazy.
We got contacts on Twitter where we also met you now.
Yeah.
They're all UK, American, Australia. So the Dutch market isn't interesting for us. I don't know a lot of people here, only a couple of local radio stations, but it's too small, I think, for the scene. I know maybe Gwen can say more about that, but
well, the Netherlands are a small country, so I think the other market is way bigger.
Yeah, we're finding that even just with we're in London, Ontario, which is about 2 hours away from Toronto, about 8 hours away from Montreal, from those 2 places, which would be your biggest, closest markets, and then otherwise a couple hours from Detroit, Michigan, US. But there was a live stream last night, or I guess I should say Saturday, depending on when this airs. But we were kind of upset at first, Andrew and I, because we're watching this live stream of a concert in London, Ontario. We're a population of about 300,000, but I mean, there should be more people with the band that was playing. And we've actually, Serena Haggerty, we've had her on this podcast, and she has quite a following too. And at live, there was only 200 people viewing at one time out of a city of 300,000. And you're kind of going, what gives, why do people not necessarily so much care right now? But like I would, it's almost, I want live music, even if it is virtually right now. I'm enjoying that. But then I looked again this morning and it had 2,200 views. So people must have watched it afterwards. And I don't know how it's through Facebook Live. So I'm not really sure how those links, and how those view counts work for that. And is it just people accessing and then going, how long do they have to stay on to it for it to count? But so at least it went up a little bit. But I mean, there's one band, Texas King, who was headlining, has toured all the way across Canada and the US with a band called Big Wreck, which has been pretty big in the really 90s, early 2000s as well. So, or actually, I don't know if the Big Wreck was in the late 90s or not, but either way,
I think
they were too. Yeah. Either way, it should have been a lot more. And in our eyes, Andrew and I are kind of like, it's kind of felt embarrassing for our city to go like, there's not enough care there. It feels like there should be, but maybe it looks like maybe it did turn around after all. But yeah, it must be hard in a smaller market, in a smaller city, to kind of get your stuff out, right? So
definitely, I think it's like you say with the live stream and everything. It doesn't have to be your city now either. You can just be anywhere, can't you? It's as you sort of say about where our stats are showing and where your stats are showing. It's not necessarily got to be as it used to be. You go out, you gig in your local area and get the following, and then move into the next area. You don't even have to do it that way anymore. I mean, essentially, you don't have to gig anymore, which is crazy.
It's true. It's so true. You don't know. And we were talking to a couple people that are doing now these virtual open mics. And because of that, I found out, and I had no idea, that there's ones in even in Ontario and in Canada that are being sponsored by Eventbrite. That I had no idea. So I was looking at it last night, and I had no idea that we had virtual open mics right now, because, that was something that even in our scene and locally, there were a few here and there. But I'm wondering if that's the way it'll go, like you said, because you don't have to go anywhere. There's no setup. The only thing that the open mics would bring is obviously some crowd, hopefully, right, and some business. But at the same time, like you said, you can be anywhere, right? You guys could join in on the open mic.
Yeah.
If you guys even could get together in one location, how crazy is that, and play in Canada, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think that what Matt's point though, and going back to what G said, the attention span of people is so it's like so small because of everything that's going on with technology. And I think the fact that a band, like you said, doesn't have to play live anymore because they could be anywhere in the world. I think you combine those two things, and I think that is probably what's leading to the problem with music, is because, like you said, you used to have to go to your local bar to watch a local act, and you didn't have access as a fan to the world of music, right? And now they're like, screw it, I don't need to go to a bar. I can follow these guys. So I think those two like things together make it no one cares about music anymore, sort of, right? So like what Nate was saying, those bands that were on yesterday, they have 10K plus followers, and and they're both local. They're both are like London talent, and 200 people are watching it live.
It's crazy, but it's like everything's so, people just want to be able to get it on tap. It's as and when it suits them. So if there's something on TV they want to watch,
right,
they know they can watch it later. So there's no urgency. I know from us at the beginning of lockdown, we had there was a couple of local acts, and they were just putting on kind of covers nights just to keep everyone's spirits up, and they were just playing, and they were getting some pretty good hits. It was nothing massive, but they were doing okay. And they've tried to maintain that, and they've just run out of steam because no one is bothered now. Everyone's just totally lost that momentum. It's like, as you say, it's so throwaway. It was something that was great at the beginning. It was exciting, and even that's wearing off now. And it's like, crap, what's the way back? How's it going to kind of ends? When we see the light at the end for it, and it all happens, is everyone going to have a crazy 6 months where everything just goes mayhem and all the bands are welcome back? And then is it just going to die again because no one can be asked? Or is everyone going to be really sort of, tiptoe sort of into it and not rushing back to it? It's going to be really sort of hard to see how it all pans out in the end, I think.
Yeah, like I thought that, when this is all over, when there's some sort of normalcy, I thought people would want to be flocking back to, concerts of some sort and wanted to see live shows. And maybe the video doesn't, like you said, the video doesn't do it for people because they have something else that they want to watch and they want to see it live. And I mean, there is something to live shows. It was weird though, last night watching a live show, and there were those plexiglass barricades in between each band member. That was bizarre. And they couldn't even, literally interacting through a plexiglass wall. And I know the Texas King who was playing their stage antics, some of them because I've seen them before, and you could just tell that it was that element that they're missing. They're very much a show, like their music, and there's a show to it that goes along with it. I mean, usually the lead singer climbs up on the lead guitar's back at one point and usually plays, and it's just, you knew it was missing from the show. It would normally happen, but there's this glass or plexiglass barricade there. So it's really interesting that way.
In the Netherlands, we have these test events. So all the people on stage, they have to be tested before. So if they're okay, they can play, and they don't have to keep the distance. And then they have 3 groups in the audience. So people with plexiglass between them, people with mouth masks, and people who, a third group. And they're now checking it out if that works. And they're also talking about that you have to show that you're that you got your vaccine before before you can go. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
So Gwen, in the Netherlands, have there been a lot of shows already that have gone on?
No, they're starting. They did a cabaret show. So that's theater, because then people can sit down. That's easier.
Right.
And now they're starting with, I guess, 3 events, and there were like 2,000 tickets and 180,000 people they wanted to get. So they were sold out within a minute.
So it makes sense. Like maybe it is people want it, but they just want live.
But they want,
right?
Because it's not just about the music, but it's also about the atmosphere and going with friends and the dancing and the singing along. And so, I've seen a couple of shows and the concerts digitally, but I also thought, I would love to see this live. It's so much better.
There's that energy too, that from that live performance, that like people that are there and also the performers connect, right? And we've said this before, but when you're performing, or whether you are in there, everyone's coming in from different experiences. It could have been a great day, could have been a terrible day. Even with the performers, you have no idea where they're coming from that day, but almost everything gets kind of left out as soon as that music starts. Usually everyone just lets it go, and there's that 2-3 hour night. And I think that's what, like you said, with that many people looking to get tickets, and there's such few, obviously people want that experience, right? They miss that. And it is, I mean, watching a concert, in somewhere else with that live performance, you're able to just kind of forget about everything for that day, regardless of what it was, good or bad. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's weird. You can pause the concert. You can think, okay, let's pause it. I get a drink. It's not the same as being there. It's
right.
You have no interaction, and I think as a performer, it's really difficult to act before a camera if you're used to an audience.
Yeah, it works both ways. You can't feed off the crowd. Yeah,
that's true.
It's tough as well. You finish, and you finish the song. It's like stony silence.
Nothing.
That's true. There's nothing.
The gigs have been like that, but it's
Well, it's funny because all the sports in North America, even when they've started up, right, they all pumped in crowd noise when there's no fans.
Fake crowd
right, just
noise.
because you're just like, you needed something, right? It's so bizarre now, even seeing fans in stands. Like there's been a few games that have had some, depending on where you are. We're in Canada, there's been none. I don't even know if we'll have fans for anything for the next little bit, but
no, we're not having any fans.
No, we can't. Well, the testing is going to be, not to be political in any sense, but for us, testing is so far, or not testing, but vaccines are nowhere in sight for at least us. They're just starting to roll them out for people that I think are 85 or older. They're just starting to. My dad's 90, he'll be 92 in April. So whether or not he decides to go get it, I don't know. But I mean, he would be the first one on the list in the next little bit, but otherwise, yeah. So I just can't see it. I can't see it in the net. So Andrew and I have been talking, like the only way I think we're going to play is if it's an outdoor gig, right? That would be the only thing.
Summertime's our only chance to really get something going. Other than that though, but like you said, Matt, how long will it last for? How long will live music keep attention, right? And I don't know where, and you guys could say how your scene is there, but our scene here is well, at least our city is not. There's like live music's not the top of the list, right?
Unless it's like a festival.
Unless it's a festival.
Unless it's some sort of festival. We've had some big ones and big names come through when it's a bigger one, but even like we have one that's called the Folk Fest, which is very well received. But but at the same time, I don't know how many people would then go on and follow those bands afterwards. I think they're just there
Right.
for the enjoyment of music,
And
which is,
then yeah.
which is great. But it's kind of that one and done, right? Oh, awesome, we saw this band, but I don't know how many people would then follow along. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more than others, but yeah, we've got some pretty cool festivals like that we do have, and I think Sunfest as well is another one that we have, but we'll see if they can even go on, because like you said, with the amount of people and Gwen, you said it best, right? You have so many tickets, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that want them. Good luck. So to get back to the music, where are your influences, Gwen? Where do you pull from with your music?
Well, I'm a musical theater girl, so that's a completely different background than the guys have. But I also like the dramatics of rock music and the metal rock stuff.
Oh wow, awesome.
So, yeah,
that's
awesome.
interesting. G, where do you pull from?
My influence is Nirvana, Green Day, Offspring. That's so the 90s rock.
That's right where we are.
Right, good man, good man.
And that's
sorry,
a cool combination with Gwen, because she got a completely different background, and it adds a nice layer on top of her music, because everything I write, it passes through Gwen, and she has some sort of another vision on a song, and it makes it really interesting that way.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, it would. I mean, that's something that, I mean, Andrew's got more of what I'd say, like the punk, right, earlier on. And
yeah, like I'm more in like poppy punk.
Yeah,
Punkish,
whereas I was kind of along the 90s, grunge, and then kind of, actually we talked a bit before, but I was kind of a country for a swing for a bit, and then I dabbled into rap and hip hop, but I got out of that quick. I couldn't do it anymore. And then now it's more of like, it's funny, I started off country kind of really liking that as a kid, but it wasn't popular. And then I've realized, now later on in life, it's more of this folk kind of country rock kind of feel that I mostly would listen to now. But I mean, of course, I'd throw on a Green Day or Nirvana or Soundgarden or Pearl Jam and throw on the album and love it. I mean, go back to the album, that's one of those things where those are the ones you go back and listen to, but I don't know how many people are going to listening to our full albums necessarily, right? It's almost like the classic. What about you, Matt? Where do you pull from?
Well, I grew up in the 80s, so it was metal, it was hair metal, which got annihilated by grunge when grunge came in. So it's like, I loved all of that stuff. And so I've always kind of followed metal and rock through. And then towards the late 90s, getting a bit old, got a bit mellow, and just became a massive fan of Fountains of Wayne. I love kind of like singer-songwriter vibes. I like that kind of comedy tongue-in-cheek element. So yeah, I love that sort of stuff really. And then even later on, it's very acoustic, things like Elliott Smith, John Bryan. So yeah, quite a bit of a range, but it's metal and sort of rock's where it's always been throughout. I still kind of follow that now. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I never thought about, I mean, I'm still only like 20, I think. No, but like, as you get older, you're right. Maybe that is it, that I, mellowed out, and, that grunge, I still enjoy it, still listen to it. But it's funny that you say that, because I would probably prefer to listen to the MTV Unplugged of Nirvana, or, Alice in Chains, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would more the acoustic side of things than heavier stuff right at the moment, right? So that's just, it's really interesting that you said that. Yeah. Never made that connection, but maybe that's what it is. I'm getting old. I need to mellow out.
Yeah.
You can hear it in your music. You can hear Nirvana and the grunge stuff. You can hear it in your songs.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah. It's funny, because when we even created our music, we didn't have a plan in place. There was no set, this is what we're going to be. It clearly was our influences of what we heard and kind of put it in, and just turned out.
Work? How does the writing process work between you? Is like someone lead the way sparking it off, or do you start with a riff, or how does it kind of come together?
Well, a majority, like the first album, a lot of it started with either like just a guitar riff, or it was bass and drum. When I send Nate things, I send him completely like completed songs almost. So there's like bass and drum, and then I'll throw on some MIDI instruments, like there might be a violin and a cello and a song and shit, and I just send him like this this, and I send him a bunch of different kind of sounds, but then there's certain sounds that when I send him, I'm like, man, this is a Chasing Record song. And I could tell before I sent it to him, like I have these ideas, but the ones that I know, like he's gonna, like I sent him one the other day, and he was like, and I knew it right when I sent to him, like this is gonna be a song. But yeah, then Nate will take off with lyrics and melodies, and I leave him alone with that. I just kind of will name a song, and it's not set in stone, but this is my idea for the songs. When I wrote this song, my idea, this word popped up or this phrase popped up, and that's what I think the song could be about. And then he takes it and runs, and it works out really well because like our parts in the writing process, but he didn't know he was a singer before we started.
No.
We were looking. Yeah, he discovered that, and so, and I always joke with him because when we needed a singer, I was like, I'll try first, and I sent him shit, and it was terrible. and then he sent me stuff, and it was like, in key, and I was like, what an asshole, because I had to go first, right? Like, but yeah, so it just worked out, and I don't know, and Nick could tell you, but I don't know how he, he learned it right, and he was learning to write melodies, which is even more important, right? But go ahead.
Like I'd say 80% of our songs, Andrew starts them. There's a couple that I've had that's on the first album that I've started. But it's true because I forget which ones I've started. I usually have to ask Andrew, be like, did I write that one? Because I don't remember. But yeah, it's funny because I can hear a melody when Andrew sends something, and he's right. The last one that we just are kind of working on right now, I almost cracked it out in a couple days. Like I just had the guitar, I could hear the guitar in it, and then lyrically, I'm still working on it, but I'm trying to fine tune it. But I think I've got it. But what I enjoy with Andrew is when he sends me usually a song title. Sometimes he'll send me an idea behind it, or sometimes it's just a song title. And that for whatever reason can just spurs like an idea, and then I go.
It almost get your process rolling for you then, doesn't it? As opposed to having to start with like a blank sheet of paper. You've got a starting point that you can then kind of go from. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat that way. And there's a couple songs where I've written that just came out of nowhere, sitting outside or just thinking about something or along those lines. I wrote one actually about I don't even know if this one will ever make it, but it was a funny song to write anyways. It was about my Christmas time. We were waiting on a package to arrive. And it kept being delayed and delayed and delayed. And I just was like, I could hear it in this song. That was something that Andrew had sent originally. I'm like, God, this fits really well. So I don't know if it'll ever make it. It's kind of a funny, like kind of a tongue in cheek, sort of.
It's a hooky song. It's hooky.
It's hooky. That's the problem, is it may actually catch, and it might be like, oh, it's actually not a bad one, but yeah, kind of fun things like that. But mostly, I mean, most of our music has been very heartbreak and despair, that it's hard to write a happy song. I don't know with you guys. What do you find that like in terms of writing happy, sad, and who does most of the writing for lyrically?
Well, I think Matt and I are quite easy. So if it rhymes, we're good. Gwen comes in and she says no.
Well, I like to have a story. There has to be a story.
Yeah.
So with Do You Really Care, we talked about, okay, why is this couple even together? Because she's obviously a bitch, and why does she likes him? So we did some rewriting there.
G and my answer was like, why this couple together? We're like, well, because it rhymes.
Exactly.
No, it's not good enough. No, we need to make this story work.
That's good though. You have that. You have that. Like Gwen will focus it up. She'll be like, no, it rhymes, but no.
Yeah.
Great. So it's a you would say it's a full collab on writing, like you guys, and then she fine tunes it, and Gwen goes like,
well, well, it's easy to say, well, and it's almost finished. So the guys do most of the work, and I'm just happy to contribute a bit at the end.
No, it's always good. It's always good to see it on the others, from outside look. Like, if two people have kind of worked on it, and then you kind of see it and go, and almost have a blank, in that sense, almost have a blank slate, be non-biased in terms of the lyrics, and then be able to kind of refine it, right? And say, okay, well, why is that? I know that sometimes I'm worried about some of the lyrics I write. I go, does it even make sense? But then in my mind, I make it make sense. I believe, I make myself believe that it works. I don't know. So Andrew's never really called me out on it yet. So.
It's nice for me and G as well, because we kind of like get so involved in the recording and piecing together what we think is going to be maybe something that's finished, To then have like Gwen come in as like a third party, sometimes a bit blank, not hearing it being Bill, to then give us like an outside perspective again. So it's kind of like, it's really good, like constructive criticism for us to be like, oh shit, yeah, we hadn't thought about that. Maybe we should go back and retweak that. So it really helps the process from us to fine tune everything, definitely.
And I think the strongest bands are able to take that constructive criticism.
Yes.
And I think that's like 90% of reasons why people don't get along in the end, because egos, right? Egos get in the way, and you guys seem like you guys are doing pretty good, and that Gwen could come in and say, guys, fart and dart shouldn't be in the song. And then, you know, so that's good. It's good to have that, man. It's very good to have that camaraderie in the band, because I don't know. I've been in some bands where someone's like tells the singer that lyric sucks, and they get like heartbroken about it. They're like, oh, it sucks. And it's like, oh. But keep that going. So are you guys, when's your next single coming out? Do you already know what the next single is? Because you said you have 11 songs.
Yeah, March 19th. There's a song. Well, Matt and I made a song before we got the idea we're gonna go together as the Perics, and we made it before that. So that's the next one. But the other songs that follow, there will be much more Gwen, because I think she's the best singer of us. So
yeah, we need to play to our strengths, don't we?
Yeah. Will there be a video with that as well, or is it going to be just music?
Well, I hope the wife has some time left over.
Yeah. You
have to make some time for her, because that one is golden. And, you know, and we were talking about it before. I think videos are important of some sort, of be able to. People want to see something too with the music, right? So visually, I know that's something that we've talked about, and we're trying to figure out how we could do one. We're kind of in the process of trying to do an acoustic version of one of our songs, and trying to think of a way to kind of do a video of some sort. But neither one of us are videographers, so
yeah. The only idea we have so far is just to walk around naked.
And that's not gonna fly.
Yeah, Blink-182 did it. They got
right. That's true. Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers did, you know, some of that on stage. Even,
yes. So just brainstorming. That's all I have.
I can't believe actually we're running out of time already. But if you guys want to plug where everyone can find you, and you can even mention. I know Matt, you've got some single stuff too out there, but please say it all.
Go for it then, G. You do the Perics stuff, man.
I do the Perics stuff. Well, we're on Spotify, just under the Perics. We've got Twitter, and we've got Instagram. And it's not difficult to find us, because there are no other Perics. So
which is perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And
Gwen, do you have anything that's solo or anything else that you've worked on before?
Well, I'm usually in musical theater stuff,
right,
so
yeah.
It's not that there's anything. There's something coming up, but that's a big rock opera in October. But
oh wow,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And is that live though in the Netherlands, or is it?
Yeah, we hope that we can play it live in October. So
that's cool.
a couple of
that's
months.
really neat.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm just you'll be able to find me on Instagram or Twitter. They're the main ones I use. It's just Matt Warren Music. It's pretty straightforward, but look for the mug, because there's another Matt Warren who was out there before me, and he's totally so.
That's funny. Yeah, we're the Chasing Records or some here or there, so our handles are all messed up in terms of what's what. So, but yeah, I know
there's
it's
a
funny how that
defunct
is.
Chasing Records. There's like Chasing Records actual label that is now gone, and they have it on Twitter since 2011 last time they tweeted. So it's like, just give up the damn name, but whatever.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
The best. I think our favorite. We said this recently too, but our favorite is there's a book that's called The Angler's Quest, I believe. Angler's Journey, and it's Chasing Records Angler's Journey, and it comes up number 1 normally when you search us. Depending on what Google decides. Like a couple weeks ago, we were number 1. We had all the top spots. We had that knowledge panel. Now it's all gone. We don't know what happened. So now we got to find out. I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of funny that way. But no, we appreciate you guys coming on. No one said no TikTok. We've mentioned TikTok. This on a bunch. No.
That's for the little kids.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around that one. So
no. No, it's
No,
so
it's too hard.
stupid. But anyway, yeah. And
That's
everyone on here, everyone always asks, like, do you guys use TikTok? Or we're like, we have it, but we don't really use it. And
No.
everyone's like, I don't understand it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. There's like duets. There's all this other shit. I don't get it. Maybe I am too old. Maybe I do. That's why I mellowed out. And then these damn kids and their TikTok, like, I don't know. It's terrible.
I'm an old man using Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook
Sure.
too. It's
We're
funny,
doing
eh?
little dances or weird dances, and I don't get it either. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody help us all out.
Yeah.
Maybe if we
If
start
they
with
can help
choreography,
us.
we can
Yeah,
dance with them.
exactly.
All right. We're spitballing here. I like the idea so far.
Yeah, exactly.
But thanks so much, guys. The Perics, check them out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you
Thank you.
for inviting us.
Anytime, we'd love to have you guys back, especially once that when your single drops. If you have anything else, we'd love to have you back on. So
For sure.
awesome. All right, bye guys.
All
We'll
right,
see
see
you
you
later.
guys.
Bye bye.